Hello everybody, good morning, welcome to the United Stand. Put a smile on your face, it's the latest Manchester United news with me, Mark Goldbridge, and it's match day. Man United have got a date tonight with the Europa League final. We better turn up and woo it because it's there to be done. Also, lots to get into this morning. A shock exit for Garnacho potentially. We've got a big update there. Also, Marcus Rashford's in talks with the club he wants to go with. And we'll be talking about what I call Jurassic Park. I did listen to a clip on the Overlap today about Manchester United, and it's just dinosaurs. Talking dinosaurs, I would say. But we'll get a bit, if we've got time, we'll get into that. But I'm a little bit late. I'm a couple of minutes late because there's actually another interview from Ruben Amorim that's come out. I mean, it's not a day on earth if Amorim doesn't do six new interviews. But actually, it's a good one because he didn't say it in the press conference yesterday, but he has said it on an interview with TNT that Bruno Fernandes will stay at Manchester United and they will do everything to make sure he stays at Manchester United. Yes, other clubs might want him, but he's our player. So there you go. Close the door. Forget the story. Well timed. Big game tonight. Hopefully we're going to book a date in the Europa League final. Hopefully we're going to get this Cunha deal done soon. Bruno Fernandes will stay at Manchester United. How does that make you feel this morning? Because I tell you what, shout out to the people who've sent in their clips from the States to be involved in our fan forums on the summer tour. You can still do that, by the way. Just send us a minute clip about something that gets you going and you might get clipped, you might get used. That's footballmedia@gmail.com. If you're in the States, send that over. But we've had some fantastic clips, by the way, amazing. But a lot of people were saying they want Bruno to go. We're never going to get rid of the Glazers. We're never going to get rid of Sir Jim. They're never going to pump money in. So as much as it's bad to sell Bruno, it's a way to get money into the club and buy better players. Do it. I mean, I don't really... I understand the logic. I don't like it, though. But what I do like this morning, if you're tuning in a little bit late, there is an interview that's just come out this morning from Ruben Amorim with TNT Sports ahead of this Europa League tie. And he is saying that Bruno will stay at Manchester United. They will do everything they can to make sure that happens. He's our player. How does that make you feel? It makes me feel happy because I don't think that we should be letting Bruno Fernandes go. But it was a 50-50 split on Monday. And I will put my hands up and say, look, if Bruno Fernandes doesn't turn up next season and has a bad season like the season before last, then everyone's going to be going, we had £120 million there. And so, look, But, before we move on to the more topical stuff, well, this is topical, but Jose Mourinho said, I want to sell Anthony Martial, and the club said no. Ruben Amorim says, I want to keep Bruno Fernandes, and the club says, no, we're selling him. There's a theme there. If you have a manager, they have to be backed. There's no point having a manager and then deciding you know best. And if Ruben Amorim is saying publicly, I want this player to stay, the club have to back him and will back him, and he's not going to go anywhere. So Saudi Pro League can throw whatever they like. This is a dead story as far as I'm concerned. When Ruben Amorim is saying publicly he stays, he ain't going anywhere. And I'm happy that we can sweep that under the carpet because what my big fear was, this was going to run and run and run, and it won't now. It's over. Mazraoui, we're not talking about Mrs. Goldbridge. Come on, show some respect. Hi, Mark. We're winning the Europa League. How are you and the family, mate? Very good. Man United fan for life. Looking forward to the game tonight. There's a lot to get into on the show today, but I'm looking forward to the game tonight. You know, I think the prospect of, 2 weeks today, 2 weeks right now, we should be waking up celebrating being in the Champions League and winning the Europa League because it will be 2 weeks last night. But tonight, got to go and get the job done. Anything can happen in football. We've seen these ridiculous comebacks before. We've got to manage this game. Yes, it's a weakened Bilbao side, but we've got to manage this game and we've got to be positive. There's too many people negative. There's too many people negative out there. I was listening to, I think it was Keane and Scholes talking about Man United, and they were going, it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace, Manchester United this season. And what did they say? I did take a note of it. I don't want to get misquoted on this. It's a disgrace that they can't focus on the league. You know, and then Gary Neville said, yeah, 75,000 people watched the Wolves game. That could be a young kid's first game at Old Trafford. You know, it's not good enough. And I was just like, why are people so bloody negative in the world these days? You're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. People seem to want to spend it moaning. It's Europa League semi-final day. We could be in a final. And you're moaning about the bloody league. Oh, who gives a shit about the league? And correct me if I'm wrong, that Wolves game, Garnacho should have had 3 assists and they score a free kick. We were better than Wolves that day. They're acting like we turned up against Wolves and went, have the 3 points. We should have won. We should have beat Wolves. I watched the game. We all did. We should have beat Wolves. We lost. Who gives a shit? But we should have beat them. It's just moaning, disgrace, negativity, like we're the first club in the world to focus on the Europa League. Mourinho did it nearly 10 years ago. You can't talk about in our day, it was bloody brilliant, Roy. It was amazing. You are a legend. But in your day is not today. Yeah, I can't sit here telling you lot how great the Sega Mega Drive was. You'll laugh at my face. Yeah, in my day, Michelle Pfeiffer was an absolute stunner. I had pictures of her on my wall. You wouldn't have them now. With all due respect, she's aged like a fine wine. But my point is, like, things change. You can't, Man United going with those legends for the league every year with Sir Alex Ferguson and a club that works is very different to a Man United side under Amorim that's a mess. You can't demand that Amorim moves Man United up the Premier League with that squad and that mess of an ownership. He's focusing on what he can. You can't talk about the Premier League and go, it's a disgrace, they should be trying to win more games. Mazraoui couldn't play. De Ligt got injured, Xerxes got injured, Dalot got injured. Well, literally, nobody gives a shit about the Premier League. I don't know why they keep talking about the bloody Premier League. It's Europa League semi-final day, and I wake up and I'm being sent clips of ex-Man United players moaning and calling United a disgrace. When did they record this? Like a month ago? Come on, just put a bloody smile on your face. You're making a living out of this bloody club. Everyone wants to listen to you because you played for it. Have a bloody have a bit of positivity, for God's sake. I just think the world's so bloody negative. I really do. And it makes me laugh because people used to call United Stand the negative stand, which we haven't been for years, to be fair. But you do get quite tired about it. It's a good day today. You don't get many of these things. In the last 10 years, the best night we've ever had was the Europa League. I want the Champions League again. I want the Premier League again, but we might never see it again. Stop moaning about things that might never happen and deal with the things that are. Trust me, you're not here for a long time and a lot of bad things happen in life. Stop being stop finding things to be negative about. Let's just enjoy it. I loved that Lyon comeback. From the depths of despair to pure ecstasy. I loved what we did in Bilbao last week. Let's finish the job. Old Trafford's going to be rocking. Let's get excited about the final. I just don't understand why people have to go searching for negativity all the time. We're a disgrace in the league. Why aren't we trying to win games in the league? Because we're in a bloody Europa League semi-final, mate. We've got a bloody threadbare squad, a squad that's not good enough. And we're just fighting to survive. We haven't got the luxury of trying in the Premier League, have we? We haven't. We've got to focus on this. And if it was the first time it had happened, I'd understand why people are getting a bit stressed. But Jose Mourinho literally did it. Loads of people have done it. You're focusing on the trophy. It's as simple as that. Anyway, let's get into some news because I can come back to the Jurassic Park. This came in from Laurie Whitwell, United Faithful. I saw it on X. Shout out to the aggregator account. We always shout them out if they're out there, and we see it with them. So basically, what Laurie Whitwell has said is that Manchester United have not ruled out a sale of Garnacho this summer based on his suitability for the system and the fact that it would be pure profit. Ideally, Garnacho would stay, but to do that, a new contract is probably going to be required in this summer. I like this update because I think we know. I mean, it's not breaking news. Man United, I saw the Manchester Evening News this morning saying, and people were putting it out there, and I was like, God, it's amazing what passes as news today, isn't it? Because there was an update from the Manchester Evening News saying it would be a real shock if Cunha didn't sign for Manchester United now. And people are putting it out there like it's like the first time we've been linked to Cunha. Of course it'd be a bloody shock. I mean, that passes as journalism. It'd be a real shock. Breaking news. It'll be a real shock if Man United don't sign Cunha now. The talks are so advanced. Ooh, give him a bloody Nobel Peace Prize. What an amazing bit of journalism. Oh, forget what's going out in war-torn countries. This is proper journalism, this is. Ooh, it would be amazing, a major surprise if Man United don't sign Cunha? Was it not Fabrizio Romano 2 weeks ago that said, here we go, is coming very soon? Let me do my breaking news story. It'll be a real shock if Man United don't sign Cunha now. Talks are very advanced. I mean, old John down the road who's lost his wife could put that on the notice board. You don't need a bloody journalism and a blue tick for that. Fabrizio Romano said 2 weeks ago, here we go, is coming very soon. It'll be a real surprise if Manchester United don't sign Cunha now. Talks are very advanced. I produced that from my arse. I mean, come on, it's rubbish. But what I do like about this update about Garnacho is that we've never really heard this before. We've heard that the club are open to selling him, and we've heard about the pure profit, but we haven't heard that if Garnacho stays, he's probably going to want a new contract. Now, that does concern me because it's very logical. But as we know, United are sacking people. They're very money motivated. And if Garnacho's like, I want to stay, but I want a new contract, I do just wonder if that's going to make Man United push him out the door a little bit more when they're already sort of ushering him towards it. Now, Garnacho's on 50 grand a week, reportedly 50 grand a week with a contract till 2028. To be fair, when you look at the volume of games he's played this season, and remember, Mainu wants a pay rise and a new contract, Garnacho's played way more football than Mainu this season. He's played way more football than Mason Mount this season, and he's on £50,000 a week. Now, Mount's on 250. So Garnacho's got every right to knock on the door and say, I want a new contract. Now, I'm not saying we should give him 200 grand a week. I'm not saying we should give him 150 grand a week, but he probably should be pushing towards 100 when you think about what some people in that team are on who don't play as much as him. But that is something to keep an eye on because Garnacho has got every right, in my opinion, to say, I want a pay rise. I mean, look, he's played loads of games. He's got a few goals and assists, and he's 20. He actually has, I believe, a very good case to say, I want a pay rise. But if Man United say, no, you've got a contract till 2028, we're not giving you a pay rise, you've got a very demotivated player there who's going to go, so wait a minute, I get picked every game, I'm on 50 grand a week, and he, who's always lying on his fucking arse, injured, is on 200 grand a week, and he's on 250 grand a week. These are problems in the modern day, and you look at what's happened with Trent and Liverpool and Real Madrid. This whole "I love the football club, I'll play for nothing." They're all islands, they're all brands, and I'm sorry, I agree. I think Garnacho should be getting a pay rise. I mean, I'm not, as I say, 100 grand's fine. Maybe he wants 200 grand. I'd say 100 grand, but this is now an issue here. We've had this conversation about Garnacho before and how Man United might want to cash in. But he actually has had quite a decent season in a very demanding scenario. He's another one of those Bruno Delos who's never injured, and he's got loads of potential. I don't think we should be letting him go. So there's just one to be wary of here. I think United are constantly putting the message out and are still putting the message out that they're not ruling out a sale. You've probably got Garnacho saying, I'd like to stay, but I think I deserve a pay rise. And I just think United are going to go, forget it, and push him out the door. But look, that's just the update. I think it's a very interesting update. And it certainly leaves that question mark over the top again, doesn't it? If we win the Europa League, we shouldn't be selling Garnacho or Mainu. We should be building for the future in the Champions League, 100%. Yeah, definitely. Which actually, just before I talk about a couple of other bits, again, this was also from the overlap. So, you know, we've spoken about this a little bit, but this so, you know, Wenger was saying that Man United or Spurs shouldn't be in the Champions League if they win the Europa League because there's already 5 clubs going in from the Premier League. Don't tell him, actually, about PSG. Do you know where PSG finished in the Champions League group? They were 2 points away from not even making it to the knockout stage. They were way outside the top 10. So Wenger's going to go mad about that. But they were talking about it on the overlap, and basically Ian Wright agreed with Wenger. Of course he would, you know, Arsenal. But Roy Keane and Paul Scholes did as well. They were basically saying that, it's about that when you're that bad in the league, that maybe you shouldn't be in the Europa League. I've spoken about this before. It's nonsense. It's the UEFA Europa League and it's the UEFA Champions League. When did we get so arrogant about the Premier League? The Premier League's the best league in the world, but it's the Premier League. It's not UEFA. What people are missing here is why the 5th and 4th team in the Premier League gets to go in the Champions League ahead of the UEFA Europa League winner. It's that arrogance of, if you're not in your top 5 in your league, you shouldn't go into you shouldn't be going into the Champions League. Hold on a minute, it's the UEFA Europa League. They've got every right to say, we want our tournament to be good. And I think it was Gary Neville who then said, the sad thing about this is that the glamour of winning the Europa League is going into the Champions League. It's not even about the trophy, it's about winning this and going into the Champions League. It's all about money now. When did football become about money? And I thought, am I watching Last of the Summer Wine or am I watching cutting edge analysis of football? I mean, it's like Jurassic Park. It's like talking dinosaurs. When did football all become about money? What are you talking about? The Championship for 20 years has been the richest game in English football because if you win the Championship, you go in the Premier League. No one gives a shit about winning the Championship. It's about being in the Premier League. The FA Cup has lost its glamour. Like, football's been about money for bloody 30 years. I can't believe that's now a reason for Man United to not go into the Champions League because it's all about money. It's been about money forever. It's like listening to your grandparents moaning about bloody, I don't know, music. Oh, in my day we didn't have all this. We didn't have a beat like this. It's incredible that we've now gone from Wenger's terrible take to Man United shouldn't be in the Champions League because it demeans the Europa League trophy because everybody wants to win the Europa League to go in the Champions League and get the money. That's what it's all about. Every place in the Premier League is another £3 million. What does second and third place mean? First and second loser. Nobody used to like finishing second 30 years ago. I remember United finishing second in the late 80s. No one was celebrating that because it didn't mean anything. It meant you'd lost. Nowadays, you're in the Champions League. Nowadays, top 4 means something because of money. I just think the angle to get at Man United becomes more and more obviously biased by the bloody day. Not only have you got Wenger saying we shouldn't be in the bloody Champions League if we win the Europa League, even though it's owned by UEFA, we've now got people saying Man United shouldn't be going into the Champions League because it demeans the Europa League and it demeans winning a trophy because it's all about money. Of course it's about bloody money. What's third place in the Premier League then? You don't even get a bloody trophy for that. The hypocrisy is hilarious. How can you moan about Man United winning the Europa League but being focused on going in the Champions League for money when third place wins nothing and goes in the Champions League for money? It's just another... This is what I mean. People are just so negative about Man United. I don't know what it is. This is meant to be a really good time. For the last 10 years, if you win the Europa League, you get a trophy and you go in the Champions League. As I said, the best night I've done as a watch-along was Mourinho beating Ajax, Man United holding that trophy up and going in the Champions League. And trust me, in 2 weeks' time, if we win that trophy, people aren't going to be celebrating the Champions League, just the same as we weren't back then. It's a lovely night with a trophy and everybody's very happy. And I don't understand why people are going, the trophy almost means nothing. It's all about the money for the Champions League. It does before it, but when you win it, trust me, that trophy means everything. It's just negative nonsense and I don't get it. I just don't get why suddenly Man United winning the Europa League and going in the Champions League is a big issue for everybody, including our ex-players. I don't get why it's such an issue to you. This has been happening for 10 years. We win the trophy, we'll be very happy. It's another honour for Manchester United. And then you get promoted into the Champions League, where we will get some money, like every other bloody club. No one's talking about Chelsea going to the Club World Cup and getting 50 million quid for winning the Champions League 50 years ago. But Man United might win a trophy that everybody's been winning for 10 years and going in the Champions League, and suddenly it should be outlawed. It's like we've cheated or something. It's like Man United have found a cheat code where they can get in the Champions League. Hold on a minute. This has been going on for years. Everybody's been doing it. And guess what? We might be rubbish in the league, But we got into the Europa League because we won the FA Cup. It's just, I just find it really weird how negative some people are and how it's suddenly an issue. Talking about negativity, by the way, if you want to do the player ratings after every Manchester United game, make sure you get yourself signed up. Tonight, obviously, we're at Old Trafford, Man United, Bilbao. Player ratings, mark every player out of 10, 6 being the average. I know some people moan when the match is going on because they're trying to watch the match and they've just got to scan the QR code and whack their email address in. Get it done today, you're already set up. Double D says, trophies will always be important because it breeds the winning mentality this club needs, says Double D. Didn't Sevilla finish third in their Champions League group, drop into Europa, then win it to get back in, then repeat for 4 years straight, says Glenn. I agree with this, Glenn. I think the best thing UEFA have done has stopped teams dropping down into the Europa League. I thought that was a bloody joke. Amorim mentioned Ghana with Bruno in the last presser as top players they don't want to leave. Amorim's system being used as excuse for Sir Jim to make money, says Mo. Agree with you that league doesn't matter, but believe even when signings next year is going to be hard going from 12th to 4th, assuming 12th is our true position this year had we not rested players, says Gigi. It's going to be very difficult. Mark, United stand. Last week, Dan was told NHS can't help his stage 4 cancer. He's going to Old Trafford tonight. Story under your I'm live tweet. Please share, says Saraka. Let me have a quick look. Is it under mine? Okay, I've just retweeted it for you, mate. There you go, Sam. That's been retweeted for you, mate. And I'll have a look at that myself after the stream. League is the key word. Promoted into the Champions League, says Keel. We would have not won. We would have won if it not for the PSG keeper semi-final and finished second better than the BTEC Europa League, says Zane. Nice to see an Arsenal fan who's positive, Zane. I'm actually doing a video for That's Football about that in a bit. We all should mute pundits and be positive, says Michael McAteer. I get their point, but we're not ready. Yeah, but you know what? Roy Keane made a really good point just before I talk about Rashford. Roy Keane made a really good point, and I did write it down. He said that, and obviously I think Roy Keane's very negative towards Man United. He's my favourite player in my lifetime. He's an absolute legend, but I do think he's negative towards Manchester United. But he did come out with some good takes every now and again, and he said the reason people want to be in the Champions League is for financial reasons, but Man United won't win it. And that I ain't got a problem with that statement. Like, the reason Man United want to be in the Champions League and the reason we want to be in the Champions League is for financial reasons. Of course it is. It's the same reason for Spurs. It's the same reason for Aston Villa. It's the same reason for Newcastle. He's absolutely spot on. And I think what their problem is that they're so stuck in a world that doesn't exist anymore that they resent it. And that's fine. That is absolutely fine. I often sit there in the pub lamenting with my mates saying, why is music so shit these days? What's happened to the music industry? Where is, it's all right watching Coldplay at Glastonbury again, but in 10 years' time, are we still going to be watching Coldplay at Glastonbury? Where are all the good bands? There used to be loads. Where are all the good films? There's not that many good films being made now. Where are all the good situation comedies? But then I'm a dinosaur. I'm moaning as well because the world's changed. And to be honest with you, the TV industry series is incredible. You can't watch enough. There's just so many goods. So, yeah, you can moan about the past and you get to a certain age where you do that. But I was listening to them talk about the Champions League and it's all about money. But they're sat around the table and considering that's not live, like they've got notes, they're all sort of going, how much do you get for going in the Champions League then? And Gary Neville says, I think it's around 50 million minimum. How much do you get for going in the Champions League? We all know it's between 70 and 120. So they're not, what I'm saying is they're just people with an opinion. They're not the oracle. They don't even know the figures. A lot of the time, they're sat there talking and they don't really, more than them statistically or analytically or research, which is fine. That's not a criticism, but they're just people with an opinion. Yes, they're legends of Manchester United, but they've now just become people with an opinion and it doesn't make them right. And Roy Keane's right. Getting in the Champions League is just about the money. We won't win the Champions League. And I think he finds that really difficult because it's like, what's the point? What's the point being in a tournament you can't win, just being motivated by money? Why turn up for a league game and not be that bothered if you lose it? I love that mentality. There aren't enough players. There aren't any players. If you could have Roy Keane in this team, the youth of today would be like, oh my God. They don't exist anymore. And it's sad, actually, to listen to Roy Keane sometimes because there's nothing wrong with what he's saying. It just doesn't exist anymore. That world doesn't exist anymore. In the mid-90s, Roy Keane, amazing. Put him in 2025, he'd still be an amazing player, but he'd get lost. He wouldn't understand the modern selfish footballer who's motivated by money. He wouldn't understand the game that's motivated by money. I mean, this is a guy that when he didn't like the atmosphere in the early noughties, had a pop at the fans calling him the Prawn Sandwich Brigade. Can you imagine what he'd be like now if Man United were playing in a cup final 5 minutes into the start of the second half and half of the stadium's empty because they're all still quaffing their champagne? The world that they understand doesn't exist anymore. We understand it. We're used to it. Getting in the Champions League is about money, but it's not just for Manchester United. It's for everybody else as well. And the reality is, it's sad that football's about money, but it is about money. And not being in the Champions League kills you because Liverpool are there, Arsenal are there, Chelsea might be there, Newcastle are there, and they're all earning that money you're not earning, moving further and farther away. So I'm not going to sit here and go, we're all twats because we want to be in the Champions League for money, even though we're not going to win it. You've got to be in it. Got to be in it. Because that's what football is now. If we don't like it, it's too bloody late. You can't sit there and go, what's the point being in the Champions League if you're not going to win it? It's only for money. Because if you're not in it, everyone else gets that money and you don't, and you fall further behind. Money makes the Premier League go round, and that's just the way it is. We can't moan about something that we created. The day they turned their back on the Division 1 and turned it into the Premier League was the day money came into the game. It's just what it is. And to be honest with you, I would change a lot about football, but I don't think there's a lot wrong with it. I don't think there's a lot wrong with it. And I think people just moan about the structure of it. I don't think there's a lot wrong with it. I think what's wrong with football at the moment is the way football is played. And, you look at the last two nights, you've got Sommer and Donnarumma, absolutely brilliant goalkeepers. They're not ball-playing goalkeepers. Have that Pep. What he's done for football in this country is devastating it. Jack Grealish is basically extinct. The flair player is basically extinct. Shooting from distance is basically extinct. Taking people on is basically extinct. And bloody shot stopping is basically extinct because everybody wants a bloody a bloody holding midfielder in goal. I mean, some of the saves Donnarumma and Sommer made over the last couple of nights, it's just pure David De Gea stuff. But they're not necessarily brilliant with the ball at their feet. That's what needs to change with football instead of moaning. I mean, what a great conversation that would have been. Two amazing goalkeepers who aren't really known for playing out from the back. No, let's moan about Man United being in the Europa League and let's moan about money in football. I get their point, but we're not ready to compete in both competitions. It's odd they're already criticised the manager. He deserves a chance to build the team before being judged. John, everyone's entitled to their opinion. It creates a debate. That's what it's all about. I'd love to be on that debate, but that's a different conversation. But it creates a debate in our amazing community. That's fine. My big question is, everyone's entitled to an opinion. I'm entitled to mine. You're entitled to yours. It's not abuse, which I think takes it too far. But what I don't understand is why everybody's so bloody negative. I woke up this morning with a smile on my face, not because you know what I mean. I woke up this morning with a smile on my face because I was like, this is exciting. This is a Europa League semi-final. Of course, I'd love it to be a Champions League semi-final. But in my life, how many Champions League semi-finals have I actually seen? Taking into account second legs, definitely less than 20, maybe less than 10. I'd have to figure it out. So, that's only 20 mornings or 10 mornings across my whole life. Yeah, I want it to be a Champions League final, but I'll take a Europa League semi-final because they're not that often either. And we could be winning a trophy in 2 weeks and we could be in that Champions League, which will give us some money to compete. Smile on my face. And yet so many people are, oh, why did we lose to Wolves? Oh, forget getting in the final. What team's he going to pick against West Ham? Oh, God, it's a disgrace. And I'm like, oh, people betray what they are. Like, I just think life's a gift. I think football's amazing. I think Man United is my passion. And there's a lot to be negative about Man United. I could moan about the Glazers and Sir Jim Radcliffe till the cows come home. But I also think the nights like this get the juices flowing. The goosebumps are ready to go. I'm excited about it. There's nothing embarrassing about it. There's nothing negative about it. This is our level. And for all the people who are moaning, the only way we're going to get higher is by winning this tournament. If we lose it, we're going down. We're going lower. Our only way back up is to get behind the team and get positive. And I just don't... I've seen it a few times. In fairness, I've seen it in this chat. Remember when we beat Brentford with those McTominay goals? When we got the draw against Bournemouth, embarrassing. People coming in embarrassing. I'm like, it's not bloody embarrassing to support your team. It's not embarrassing to have a personal satisfaction when your team doesn't lose. But I don't know. We live in a weird world, don't we? Today I will visit Man United for the first time with two friends, Glenn and T. Do you have any recommendations to go before the match, says Robin? I mean, you can go and try and get into the Bishop's Blaze. That's what everyone wants to do. But you need to get there very, very early. Trafford pub's there as well. You could just go into Manchester and then get an Uber down. There's loads of good pubs in Manchester, so it's not that far away. Did Dan Davey... Lots of people talking about Mrs. Goldbridge this morning. I'm not very comfortable with that at 10 o'clock in the morning. Football became about football when their employers, Sky, made it about football. Hypocrisy in the mainstream, says Josh. Mate, literally, on that podcast, it's got Sky Bet in the corner, and they're moaning about money in football. The irony is incredible. I expected Alanis Morissette to be doing a duet with Jill. Although, I must just say, I do think Gary Neville secretly loves me because... he used to have a show called Soccer Box. I started the word Soccer Box. There's a few other things as well. Check his glasses out. That's all I'm going to say. Check his glasses out. At the start of the season, would people have given Inter a chance of winning the Champions League, says Glenn? I think those in the know might have done. I think Inter have been massively underrated. And I'll tell you what, there's a lesson we can learn from Inter. Shot stopper in goal, experience. We've been talking about experience for a really long time. Look at that Inter team. It's riddled with experience. Lautaro Martinez is experienced. Mkhitaryan, Çalhanoğlu. They've got lots of experience running through that team. And lo and behold, they play as a team. Dinosaurs need to move on. John did, says Mo. What a ridiculous take. No point in being in a competition if you can't win it. The Champions League would be 4 teams if that was the case. Sorry, but no, says Sam. Mate, look, I think the next argument is going to be the Champions League should only be for the Premier League winners. Trust me, never go back to that. It's shit. The Champions League is the best thing to happen to the European Cup ever. It was so shit, the European Cup, when it was just the winners, because it's like what they've done with Chelsea in the Club World Cup. Chelsea won the Champions League 4 years ago, so they get to go in the Club World Cup. Chelsea aren't even in the top 4 teams in England. They're going to the Club World Cup. You want to be as topical and relevant as you can be with a tournament to make it integral, make it have integrity. There's nothing good about a European Cup when you're in the quarterfinals playing the champions of Sweden. It's a mismatch. So what they did with the Champions League, making it the top 4, was a great idea. I think basically what we've got now is a bit of a European Super League. And people need to just figure that out. So moaning about having 6 English clubs in a 32-team league is about right. I don't know what Wenger's moaning about. I mean, Wenger probably wants to have a team from Luxembourg in it, doesn't he? Because he's probably at that age now where, he wants to be one of those people who includes everybody in fairness. If you finish, he should be in charge of school sports days. If you finish last, you still get a winner's medal. You want the best. It's 36 teams, says Guy Fawkes. 36 teams, there should be 6 teams from England. There should be bloody 5 teams from Spain. There should be 5 teams from Italy. There should be 5 teams from Germany. Of course the bloody well should, because it makes the tournament stronger. And let's not forget, it's not a knockout tournament anyway. Liverpool blasted the league section. They came first. Arsenal came 4th. PSG weren't even in the top 10 and they're probably going to win it. It's a league format and then it's a knockout format. It's basically the NFL. That's what it is. I knew it. I wasn't comfortable with it, but it is what it is. That's what it is. Stop moaning about you can't have 6 English teams in it. Of course you bloody can. There's 36 clubs in it for a start. It's mad. It's moral crusaders who would get sat down by any of you lot in a conversation. We qualified last season because we had a bad season. We don't deserve Champions League next season for possibly winning the Europa League. Yawn, says Captain T1. Just want to send some out of context love to Lenny Yoro. He's been on fire since Henri called him out. Promising signs of a strong mentality, says Molo. Yeah, again, another prat in the punditry world talking arse. If we didn't get into the Champions League, how are we going to attract the players we need, says Andy Mack. Mate, trust me, people moaning about Man United going in the Champions League, I tell you what, I'd love to see what they're going to say next season, because we won't be in any European competition and they'll have to start talking about Spurs. Wenger stating that it's not right for teams lower in the table to qualify for the Champions League. We've won our games and done it by the book. It's the UEFA rules and we played by them, says Slow Sports News. Haters are noises. Ready the cup for the tears, says John. Big days ahead. Inject some motivation to the players. No, let them know what lacks. I'm sure they watch you. 2 million subs. Your opinion does matter, says Sudip. Well, all of yours do as well. Emily Derry says it's not like winning the Europa League would be easy given the car crash of the season we've had. Why don't we go for a... I think that's the big problem though, Emily. I think the problem is they just want to moan about how shit United are, and they probably wanted us to get knocked out. I have got an update on Rashford. We've got time. But you've just reminded me of something, Emily. Brilliant. I was thinking about this this morning. There will be a lot of United fans, commentators, journalists, pundits, ex-players today who deep down I think will want us to blow it because it's better for them and what they've said before. If you've been negative about Man United, I told you so is there for you if we blow it tonight. If you've said Amorim out, I told you so is there. You can't say some of the stuff people have said about United over the last couple of months and then be sat there tonight going, yeah, we're going to a final, because you've exposed yourself as being negative, and negativity is basically an expression of dissatisfaction. So it worries me. It worries me how much negativity there is around Man United, because I think actually they just want to see us burn, even though they're United fans. Trophies will always be important because it breeds the winning mentality the club needs, says Double D. Thank you. Hope you're doing well, mate. Appreciate that. I have got an update on Rashford for you, by the way. I'm sort of happy that this Rashford update has come right towards the end of the show, because I think that on a day where it's funny, isn't it, actually? You know, football's so based around recency bias, isn't it? A few weeks ago, Marcus Rashford was doing really well and Amorim was a prat for letting him go. A few weeks later, Rashford's injured and Man United are on the verge of going through into Europa League final, and no one's talking about Rashford. And this is just it. You know, the oldest saying in the world is that today's headlines are tomorrow's chip paper. And what that basically means is what's massive news today is forgotten tomorrow. And that's not being disrespectful to Rashford. I mean, I watched, but well, the story is this. The best thing I can do is give you the story. And we do have to talk about it because this is a news show and this is a player that's a Manchester United player. So I think that the best thing to start off with here is that basically stories coming out from Barcelona journalists are that Marcus Rashford is already in talks with Barcelona via an agent he has got working on it. Pina Zahavi, I probably ruined the name. He is a notorious agent. Apparently has got a good relationship with Barcelona, and they are already in talks about a deal. Now, what I would say is that this deal makes total and utter sense. Total and utter sense. Watch Barcelona on Tuesday night. They have fantastic players in Rafinha and Yamal and Lewandowski. But beyond those three, yeah, they've got Ferran Torres. They've got a couple of other players. But I actually think Marcus Rashford would work very well at Barcelona. I don't think Yamal and Rafinha should be playing every minute of every game as good as they are. And I think Rashford wouldn't dislodge either of those players. They're better than him. But I think he'd get minutes. I think he'd be quite good for them. And I think it would be a good deal for us and for him and Barcelona. I don't think anybody's saying that Marcus Rashford's going to Barcelona and going to bench Rafinha, which is where he would play. But they do need another winger. And I think it makes sense for all three parties. Rashford's obviously desperate to go to Barcelona. I ain't got a problem with that. I mean, look, whether Rashford is a good guy or a knobhead or, you know, a PR genius or, you know, all the other stuff that gets thrown about him that nobody even knows. Ultimately, all we know is that he's a footballer that plays for Manchester United. When he's on it, he's good. And if I was him and I was leaving Man United, I'd bloody love to go to Barcelona. It's an upgrade. It's an upgrade that maybe you wouldn't be expecting to make based upon how you've been performing. So it would be an upgrade for him. I think for Barcelona, many people say, well, why would Barcelona want to do it? Well, you're going to get a player very cheap who is a player in a position you need with a huge reputation going to a club that thrives on huge reputation. Shirt sales, exposure. You know, Rashford brings with him his own fan base as well. So I think it ticks a lot of boxes for everybody. My only issue with this is that how long will it take? Because Barcelona are so bloody horrible to deal with because they've not got any money. So we need this deal to happen quickly. I think Rashford will want it to happen quickly. I think Rashford needs it to happen quickly because he needs to be pre-season at the club he's going to play for on July the 1st because there's a World Cup. There's a World Cup coming. My concern is my concern is not really Rashford. He might be naive enough to say, I'll wait till the end of August, but you're jeopardising your World Cup place doing that. Man United will want to get it done as soon as possible. But I think Barcelona are going to go, he wants to come, and Real Madrid are the same. I think Barcelona will go, he wants to come to us, he won't go anywhere else. You need to adjust your price. And even if we adjust our price, I think Barcelona will go, yeah, okay, we'll talk. You wait. And this could go until the end of August as they drive us down. I've seen Barcelona do it before. The summer where they had to pull the levers, Rafinha was going to go to Chelsea. But Barcelona were going to him, wait. And he waited. So this is my problem and my concern about the Rashford-Barcelona deal. It fits the bill for everyone. I think it'd be a good signing for Barca. I think it's a great move for him. And obviously Man United want to sell him. But obviously, I don't think anybody wants this running through till August. I mean, what's the point in him being on pre-season? What's the point in Rashford being around? You know what the journalists will do. Is he staying? This, that, and the other. Obviously, it doesn't suit anybody for him to stay. Even if he did stay, he's got to try and get used to a system he doesn't work in. So it's just a setback for everybody. But I just have concerns about Barcelona and how they'll try and drive the price down, how they'll try and take so long on it. And it's just better for everybody if we get this done ASAP. Max says, could we do a swap deal for Araujo? Swap deals don't really happen. We'd need someone like Swedish Rumble to explain this because it's all about it's hard to do swap deals with homegrown players. It's not impossible, but I think United need the money on the books because it's pure profit. Look, we might only end up getting 20 million from Barcelona for Rashford, by the way. Like, if you think about his wage, we might have to subsidise his wage down. I don't know. His wages are big and they won't want to pay 300 grand a week. So we might say to Barcelona, you can have him for 20 million, but you'll have to keep paying 300 grand a week because he's really worth 40 million. I don't know. But this is what I mean. There's an opportunity to get things done really quickly. And maybe that's the positive from this story is that if Rashford's already got somebody talking to Barcelona about the deal, maybe that's because he wants to get it done quickly as well. It's in his interests to get it done early. I think there was a mistake made in January. He was ready to play on January the 1st. He didn't go to Villa till the end of January and he lost a month. All right, Thomas Tuchel might pick him regardless, but this is the World Cup year. You need to be playing. You need to be fit at the start of the season. You know, you can't start the season slow. If we get Champions League football, would we have to sell some players due to the wage increase, says James? I don't know, is the honest answer. I mean, I'm working on the assumption that if we get Champions League football, we can buy players. I don't know why we'd have to sell players, but maybe that's going to be part of the plan anyway. I had a terrible dream last night about Porro scoring from outside the box in the final. Can't believe Spurs scare me, says GGMU. Mate, we are doing the watch-along tonight. On this screen, it'll be Man United Bilbao. On that screen, I've got Spurs Bodo Glimt because I'd love... Look, priority is Man United winning. If Man United win, I also want Bodo Glimt to win as well. But obviously, all I want is Man United to win. I'd heard something about James Maddison only just missing out on the game tonight. Somebody told me at the start of the week he's out for the season. So where are all these bloody Spurs fans coming, players getting back fit for? Just want to shout out someone from the chat. They said yesterday morning, it was a comment from yesterday. They said, well done United Stand. You were first on the Onana news in the international break about Amorim not wanting him. You were ahead of everybody else on Delap being the priority. You also said on Monday that Delo is going to be back for the final and is working hard to get back. And you also said when Ahmad was injured at the start of April that he'd be back ready to play at the end of April when everyone else was saying the end of May. So we're doing all right at the moment. I don't want to tempt fate, but a couple of good sources we've got are very good so far. Let's hope that continues. Don't have anything else to tell you. Don't have anything today. I mean, I really should have had something else to tell. Yeah, we're signing Harry Kane. We're signing Harry Kane. No, I don't know. I don't know anything else at the moment. But when we do, we will tell you. It would be cute if someone like West Ham had the chance of getting into the Champions League this way. It's different because it's us. It's us out and about with Job. Exactly. And I think what people miss, Job, is the fact that this is the UEFA Europa League and it's the Premier League. If it came down to it and all the clubs voted that you can only have a maximum of 5 clubs from each country, I'm telling you now, if Wenger got that through tomorrow and said, right, we've changed the rules, only 5 teams from the Premier League can be in the Champions League next year, 5th place is fucked. Because UEFA would go, there's no way we're not having the Europa League winners in the Champions League because that's our tournament. So unfortunately, if the limit's 5, 5th place is not going in. And that's where they've completely missed the point because it's the UEFA Champions League and it's the UEFA Europa League and they couldn't give a shit about 5th place in the Premier League over the UEFA Europa League winners. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Really good show this morning. Obviously tonight's a big night. I've got my bottle of Malbec. Absolutely fantastic. If you didn't see it last night, I've got to thank Mrs. Goldbridge for this because I said, can you get me a bottle of Malbec when you're doing the shopping? She obviously has got a sense of humour. That's why I married her. Gary Barlow, bottle of Malbec. He surely must do Merlot. Gary Merlot. He must do Merlot. Anyway, I'm here all week. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'm really excited about later. I think they just disgusted by our league form, says Robert McCormack. Yeah, Robert, I sort of got that impression. Yeah, I got that impression. Look, the league form is disgusting, but this is the Europa League semi-final. Stop moaning about it. Like, we've got a chance to get something out of a horrible season. Take care, everyone. I'll speak to you in a bit. Don't forget to register for the player ratings for later if you haven't done it already. Could it be Malbec, says Lawrence Berry. Brilliant, brilliant. I'm still live.